The self-improvement protocol that I went on through the COVID lockdown completely changed my life. I built the best physique I had ever had. I significantly improved my mental health, my relationship with my family, my social skills, and I started a business that went on to turn me into a millionaire. In this video, I'm going to give you the exact protocol I went on step by step so you can achieve a transformation like this. If you don't know me already, my name is Hamza and I get young men onto self-improvement. Let's start with the first major thing I did to transform my life, which was dopamine detoxing. So back in 2020, this was probably before you were ever looking into the space, but there was a trend that went viral where a ton of people were talking about dopamine detox. Basically, they were saying that on Sundays, they would reset their brain by going on a dopamine detox and doing nothing fun for the entire day. The thinking behind this is that, you know how the modern world is just so overstimulating with like the social media content that we're scrolling off and we're all like fucking jacking off and everything. And the idea is then if we had one day per week where we didn't do any of this and maybe we just kind of sat around and we read books and we got like healthy, real dopamine, it would kind of reset our brain to a healthy level. I heard that and I took it one step further. Instead of just doing this one day per week, I decided to do it 24/7. I didn't like this pussy mindset of like thinking, yeah, you know, one day per week, I can reset some of the damage I've been doing by scrolling through the week or anything. Just the same way, bro, look, if a fat guy ate junk food 6 days a week and then on Sunday he ate clean or he fasted on Sunday, he'd still be a fucking fat ass, right? So my idea was, okay, there's dopamine detoxing. I'm gonna turn it into a lifestyle. So first of all, what is dopamine? How does it even work? Dopamine is kind of like our motivation molecule. When you have the desire for something, so the desire to go and fap, the desire to eat junk food, the desire to work hard and go to the gym, that feeling of desire is dopamine. Dopamine is like the feeling of wanting something. The problem is, when we get bad dopamine from unhealthy things, modern stimulating things, when we get cheap dopamine, like for example, we look at porn, instead of the hard dopamine, which is going up to speak to a girl, it tanks your dopamine level after you got that little surge. So for example, if we start thinking about watching porn, our dopamine will go up because we're in anticipation of watching porn and masturbating. But the moment we've done that and our dopamine goes up, we will plateau even below the baseline we were at beforehand. This is how people get into depression and ruts. If this is our baseline, but then you eat junk food, the dopamine goes up whilst you're thinking about junk food, but then afterwards the dopamine is lower than the baseline. So you've got a new baseline. Then you go and watch porn, so the dopamine spikes up, but then it goes lower than before, so you've got a new baseline and lower and lower and lower. This is why almost everyone you know has like symptoms of some kind of depression or rut or emotional instability, because they keep just driving their feelings of desire, because they keep just driving the dopamine levels so low. And now these same people don't have motivation for anything. Like if you've ever felt like it's so hard to motivate yourself to even want to like get rich or build a body or something, it's in seasons where you've just fried your dopamine receptors and you've destroyed that ability to want. The idea of a dopamine detox is that we stop doing all these cheap dopamines that take us below our baseline, and we start getting healthy, real dopamine, like for example from hard workouts and sunlight and social connection and laughter and making a business or studying. So this is exactly what I did, and make sure you pay attention because this is the most important part of this video. I decided to just live like I was on a dopamine detox, not one day per week, but every day. I made a rule for myself, which was no cheap dopamine. I went onto Instagram and I unfollowed everyone on there. I went onto Snapchat and I deleted my accounts. I went app by app and I just removed all that fucking bullshit from my life. I stopped watching random YouTube videos that felt productive, but I knew that I was just watching it to just procrastinate. I stopped listening to music throughout the day. Like I would usually listen to music when I was just like sitting around doing nothing. And I said I was only allowed to listen to music when I would go to the gym. So my entire life became kind of like a dopamine detox. It wasn't 100% strict. I probably still had some things that were giving me like dopamine, of course. But it was basically like I cut out all of the bad habits. instantly. And I started being super vigilant of what the bad dopamines were, which I think all of us kind of understand what a bad dopamine would be and what a good dopamine would be. It's not very scientific to say bad or good. It's the same kind of dopamine, I guess, but like you understand what I mean by that, right? So you've got to think right now to yourself, if you want to create this self-improvement transformation, what are some of the bad dopamines in your life? And then what are some of the good ones? My plan was to drastically do more of the good dopamine habits, like exercising, reading, just thinking deeply, sitting out in the sun, speaking with my mother, going for walks and runs, and doing way less of the bad dopamine habits. Because the beautiful thing with doing the good dopamine habits, like working out and studying, is that your baseline happiness goes up and up and up. How many times have you like looked at my bicep veins in this video? Imagine if you woke up and this is what your physique looks like at rest. You can imagine your baseline happiness is going to be pretty fucking good when you've already built a physique that you're proud of. The same with like a business, or imagine you just got like, you've been studying really hard every day, your routine's been awesome, your diet's been clean, you're sleeping so well. Of course, bro, your baseline happiness is gonna be so high because you're living like a healthy, happy, normal human being. So that's the powerful thing of a dopamine detox. And online, I see people shit on it and say, oh, but it's not actually scientific. It's like, yeah, who gives a fuck? Oh, it's not, yeah, bro, have I ever tried to tell you that I'm some fucking scientist or something? Of course, it's not like some scientific thing of dopamine or whatever. Like, you know, the nerds will tell you, actually, it works like this. I'm telling you how it works in the real world, not just in data and in science, how it works in the real world. When you get rid of the bullshit bad habits, which you know what they are in your life, and you get rid of that last little bit, the last 10, 20%, which you've kept in all this time, the last 10, 20% in your diet, the last 10, 20% in your routine, you know how you're like slacking off just a little bit. You know exactly which habit it is for you. And you keep coping. Every few days you cope and you say it's okay. When you finally get rid of that, you will feel such a big difference in your overall happiness, and it will be so transformative. You have to throw the toys away. You're not a fucking boy anymore. You have to throw away, you know, the fucking 1 hour of video game a day or the fucking shitty junk food that you're eating or whatever. You've got to get rid of that last little bit, the bad dopamine that you're keeping in your life. And then it creates this vacuum of space where you can sit and think, okay, what good dopamine thing should I be doing right now? What's something hard, but that's worthwhile? Maybe you go exercise twice per day, which is completely healthy to do so. Maybe you do one weightlifting session and one martial arts session, or one weightlifting session and one cardio session or something. Maybe you do some mobility, some stretching. Maybe you start actually reading consistently and you start reading a book every single week. These are things that are still technically giving you dopamine, but it's coming from a way, way, way healthier place. And there's levels of difficulty and pain that's associated with the good dopamine. Like the dopamine from a workout, there's pain and discomfort involved in that. There's growth, there's mindset, there's like, you know, these setbacks and you have to get ready and get changed and go outside. There's effort. When we do something that's effortful, we get healthy dopamine that makes our life better. And here's the interesting thing. The reason why this is important, think about it, like I'm telling you to have less fun in the day, right? Why am I telling you that this is a good idea? Because when you do this and you get the healthy dopamine, you will have more motivation and desire in your life. Like, I know that motivation is shit on in the self-improvement industry. People, like all the fucking NPCs, love to be like, ah, fuck motivation and discipline, fuck you. People love to like talk like this, bro. Anyone who's not a fucking retard will tell you the exact same thing. Motivation is fucking awesome. To be motivated and enjoy and to want to do the hard work is fucking awesome. Don't you be a fucking NPC. All those fucking retards will be commenting like, motivation is a myth and discipline. Like, I'm more disciplined than all these motherfuckers who say this shit. And I'm telling you right now, motivation's still fucking awesome to have. When you're motivated, you feel like doing the work. If you wake up and you feel like going to the gym, that's fucking awesome. If you wake up and you feel like working, that's fucking awesome. Now, of course, we don't want to rely on that. When we don't feel like it, we should go anyway. That's when discipline comes in. But if you can have the desire to go to the gym and to work hard and eat clean, that's fucking awesome. It just means that your life experience is just more pleasant. We want more of that. When you do the healthy dopamine activities and you cut out the bad dopamine activities, this is literally what's gonna happen. You'll wake up and you'll literally feel like wanting to work. You know, sometimes like, you know, you've got to work, but you don't wanna do it. You know, you've got to go to the gym today, but you don't want to. You know, sometimes it's like that. How nice is it on those days where you actually want to go to the gym? How nice is it on those days when you wake up and you actually want to sit down and work? You do 10 times more, right? So motivation's so helpful, and this, with the dopamine detoxing, is how I actually became like a motivated person. This changed my life forever. I literally went from like a weed addicted little degenerate little junkie, like most young people, complaining about like, oh yeah, the rich people are all scammers or whatever, to getting so motivated to wanting to build a business. And that's when I started to take this YouTube channel seriously. I started to really like, you know, become more of a professional and upload videos more consistently. And then that retired my family and changed my life forever. Now let's cover the exact habits that I did during this really, really intense self-improvement period. Because there was 3 main areas of life that I focused on. There was mental health, fitness, basically physical health, and work. For mental health, I did a list of habits which I still recommend to this day because they were so transformative for me. Meditation, journaling, playfulness, sunlight, socializing. These are habits that I would push anyone who's watching this to get into, even if you're a little bit confused at how it works. How do you meditate? Is it worthwhile to journal? What do you mean about playfulness? I just want to make money, whatever. If there's anything holding you back from doing these, I tell you, it just makes your life feel better overall. Now, you watch my videos, and the thing is, you probably have this idea that I'm like this like extreme disciplined guy who doesn't care about how he feels and he just does the work and whatever. Maybe you think that of me, but I still am a big like pusher of like, if we can have an enjoyable life experience, that's a good thing. Of course it is. When you improve your mental health, you literally just get to have more fun in the day. Like, just think about that. Like, imagine if you could just have like a multiplier on your fun, on your enjoyment of life. That would, how much would you pay for that? Like millions of dollars, right? Millions of, if you could just be 25% like more fulfilled and happy and joyful in life, that's literally worth millions of dollars. That's what improving your mental health does. So when you meditate, yeah, it takes 10 minutes and it feels kind of uncomfortable. You're building this thing that I would value at millions of dollars. Like, what is there to life if not for like fucking enjoying your existence here? If you're not enjoying your existence, like what's the point on fucking existing, right? So mental health is what safeguards your enjoyment, because there's lots of people who have everything. They have the money, they have the fitness, they have the women, and they just don't have their mental health. And now they're depressed, and even though they've got all those things, they don't even like their lives. What's the point? So that became the biggest priority for me in this season. I realized just how important mental health was, and that I had never even had like a single lesson on how do you improve mental health. Because the thing is, you don't improve mental health through the bullshit that you see on TikTok, which is like therapy or some gay shit like that. You know how like there's so many TikTok girls who say like, oh yeah, everyone should go to therapy. Fuck you, that's such a fucking lie, bro. For women, therapy can be okay. Most of the time, it's still a waste of time. For men, holy shit, don't be a fucking faggot going to therapy. Holy shit, that's gay as fuck. Therapy does not work for men. You don't need a therapist. You need an angry asshole drill sergeant motherfucker who slaps you in the face and says, stop being a pussy and lose some fucking weight. You don't need someone to sit there like a fucking gay little professional and to listen to you yap like a little bitch. You need someone who's more like a coach, like an aggressive friend who tells you, bro, fuck that bitch. Let's go to the gym. Who cares if she cheated on you? Let's go to the gym instead. Bro, why are you acting like a pussy? You said you had this goal. Come on, let's fucking work on our businesses today. Men do not benefit from having like the motherly figure who sits there and listens to your problems. That's complete and utter retardation. Men literally biologically do not benefit from talking about their problems. We benefit from what? What is it? What's the one thing that men benefit from? Action. Doing shit that fixes the problem. When, you know, like you've probably heard this before, when a woman comes and complains to you about something, most of the time, she doesn't actually want you to solve her problem. She just wants to complain. For women, it's therapeutic when they talk about their problems. For men, it's not. If a guy comes up to you and says like, oh man, I'm fat, you don't think to yourself, oh yeah, he just needs to talk. Yeah. And how does that make you feel? You don't ask questions like that. You literally will start thinking, okay, are you going to the gym? What's your diet? Like you start looking for a fucking solution, right? Genetically, that's not like some pre-programmed bullshit or anything like that. Like all these leftist fucking weird liberals like to believe. That's just what men are genetically like. We are solution orientated. We don't talk about our fucking feelings unless if there's a solution for it. That's why a therapist is bullshit, because therapy does not give you a solution. It just encourages you to keep talking about it like a fucking bitch. You don't need to talk about your fucking problems. You need to take action on it. If you've got bad mental health, motherfucker, stop doing the thing that's ruining your mental health. You scroll for 3 hours a day, you fucking lunatic. If you feel depressed, it's because you're a piece of fucking shit who's not being productive. Of course you feel depressed when your parents are fucking disappointed in you because you are a fucking grown-ass man. You're 18 years old now and you're a fucking locust to your family. You're a leech. Of course you feel depressed when you don't have like a clear path of life in front of you. You don't have a clear vehicle for your work or your career. Of course you feel depressed because you're a fucking little bitch. Now, here's the thing. You can keep talking, oh guys, I feel depressed. That's not going to do shit. You could actually fix this problem by working hard, by choosing a vehicle for your work, like for your career or a business, and making progress in it. Oh, I feel depressed because I've got, body issues. I don't feel so attractive. You're not a fucking girl. There's no body positivity for men, you fucking retard. It's only for women. That this body positivity thing, all this, like, feel good at every size, that's for women, you fucking bitch. For guys, there's no fucking body positivity. The fucking action step is go to the fucking gym, you fat motherfucker. That's as serious as it is. You need to understand this right now. With mental health, do not fall for this modern day TikTok kind of bullshit. Mental health is improved through cause and effect. It is as simple as that. You are depressed because you are being an asshole to yourself, and there's something you are voluntarily doing which is causing you to be depressed. If you stop doing that, you will stop being depressed. It's as simple as that. That's why in the things I listed out to you as mental health habits, one of them was playfulness. Do you remember how joyful we used to be as kids, right? And the concept of depression didn't even exist. We used to climb trees and jump over puddles. Be honest, be completely honest. Do you know when you last climbed a tree? Be honest, like, do you even remember what year it was in? Maybe 5, 10, something crazy years ago, right? We used to go to the park with our families or with our friends, like what, 5 times a week? And we used to make up games. We used to do adventurous shit like children, like, jump over the puddle and challenge each other to like ride really fast on our bikes. And guess what? This is a big fucking lesson. It's gonna sound so obvious. You're never supposed to stop living like that. You know how kids live? Adults should be living similarly to that as well. Not all the time, of course. Now we've got responsibilities. Now you've got to watch out for the fucking like predators, basically, if we were all animals. And the little cub gets to play, but if you're like the big grown lion, you have to still, be careful. But you still need to enter that playful mode. Most young adults, and most adults in general, completely, they turn about 15 years old when your hormones kick in, puberty, now you just want to fucking ejaculate. And then you just stop because you're like, oh, that's a bit cringe. I don't want to be seen as a child anymore. So you go through this bell curve where 1, you're a child with good mental health. 2, you're basically a modern day adult with depression and TikTok brain and whatever. And 3, most people stay there, by the way. You're probably one of these guys just staying there. But number 3, for a very small percentage of adults, you start acting like a child again for a good few hours a day. You laugh with your friends, you make jokes, you wrestle your friends, and you kind of like have little play fights with them. You tell jokes to each other, you tell stories, you lie out in the sunlight, you jump into the pool, you try and learn to do like a front flip into the pool or something. It's these things that safeguard you from bad mental health, and no one our age does them. So you need to come up with a few ways that you can consistently add this into your schedule. Go climb fucking trees. Now, the thing is, that sounds cringe and it sounds like nice, but then it sounds like impractical, because are you really gonna go out and climb a tree? So what I did for this was I bought this gym equipment called gymnastic rings. Like, you can go on Amazon and have a look, gymnastic rings, where you put it up on a tree and basically you can exercise on a tree. Like, you can do pull-ups and dips and all these calisthenics movements. And that naturally just meant that I was like basically playing in the forest every day during COVID, and I was learning all these cool tricks. You know, like you try and attempt something, like I would do like handstand on this like random ring thing, and you know, you fall sometimes and you're like laughing, oh man, that was close, whatever. And like people would walk past me and little kids would always run up and literally run up and ask if they could play on it as well. So I'd let them, and you know, it was always funny and stuff. And then like old guys would walk up and say, oh wow, like look at this young man who's working out and stuff. That added the playfulness to my life. So I'd recommend that to you. Get something which doesn't seem like you're gonna get shamed for it, or it doesn't seem cringe. So maybe like some exercise related thing, but that feels like play, and add that into your life. Then those other habits that I mentioned, meditation, journaling, I mentioned them loads in my video, so you should know by now like what to do with them. Start them, even if you've got this idea where you're like, oh, I'm not too sure if this is actually helpful or not. I give you my word that it absolutely is. The second area of life where I added habits in was with fitness. The big thing I added here was a double exercise session. So during this period of extreme self-improvement, this was huge for me, and I want to push you for this. If you're watching this right now, you're pretty extreme on self-improvement. I'm telling you right now, almost no one else you know watches content like this. Like imagine everyone from your high school class, not even from your class, but of the year group, you know, there's 100 or 300 people there. I guarantee you are probably the only person of those entire year group who actually watches like this level advanced like self-improvement content. Everyone has seen, you know, Andrew Tate reels or whatever, okay, sure, but there's no one who literally sits down and watches like this long form how to fix your life type of videos. It's quite a remarkable thing, right? By that, the point I'm making is, since you are so extreme on this, wouldn't it be likely that you should also follow a bit of an extreme protocol with fitness as well? All of the fitness advice that you've heard so far is only about what's called resistance training. Basically, you know, in the gym, building the muscle, okay? And you've heard, okay, go to the gym 3 to 5 times a week, whatever. What you're not hearing is that is to go to the gym and lift weights 3 to 5 times a week. But we're supposed to be active for maybe about 20 hours a week. You can do 3 to 5 workouts for weightlifting, sure, or calisthenics, nice. But you should do another 1 hour per day, like an extra workout on top of that. And trust me, if you do that, you will feel fucking awesome. So this was the first time in my life where, yeah, I was doing the sort of resistance training. Like I started using those gymnastic rings, and I had like a little gym in my garage because it was the lockdown, so all the gyms were closed. But I started to do a ton of extra cardio as well. Not for the bodybuilding thing of like, you know, losing fat, whatever, but just for the discipline exercise of like, you know, it was like David Goggins, he was going viral during this time, and it was this mindset of like, yeah, you know, just discipline yourself, just challenge yourself. So I would wake up at 5 and I would go for runs in the dark. I'd do sprints. I'd bring a weighted backpack with weight inside of it and go for jogs with that. So it felt like I was like this disciplined, like Marine, like army, like soldier or something. And that was fucking awesome because one, I got lean as well. It was the leanest I had been in my life so far. My physique looked great, which was nice. But two, it was like the first time where I really felt like such a disciplined guy. Along with that, I really improved my diet as well. And I never realized before this just how much your diet changes how you feel. Because I had always ate for muscle mass. Like you probably, if you watch this, you've probably watched a ton of those fitness videos which tell you, yeah, you know, you should eat like this, protein and whatever. But this was the first time where instead of just thinking about calories for my macros and whatever, I started to actually think about nutrients and what food was really actually healthy. So I cut out basically all processed food, and I just started to eat like natural, like real food basically. Instead of eating like French fries and like, you know, ultra processed garbage, but saying, oh, but it's 300 calories, it's fine. Because that's so retarded when you think about it, when you're eating like some lab made fucking chocolate thing. And it's like, yeah, it's the calories you needed, fine, but it's like, it's obviously not fucking real food. It's got weird fucking cancer chemicals in there. I started to eat real food, like I would eat salmon and potatoes and this, like real things that, you know, that our ancestors ate as well. And I felt so much better. Like I had never felt this good in my life before, where before this, I'd have like stomach pain a few times a week and I'd, you know, just feel kind of tired and whatever. But when I started to eat clean, I noticed my energy shot up. I started being able to exercise more. My physique started to look so much better as well. And I didn't binge eat a single time during this time. The problem with the ultra processed foods, even if you eat the right calories, is you're more likely to overeat just because of how ultra palatable it is. And it's been made to hijack like your animalistic tendency of like wanting to eat to conserve your survival, basically. So I stopped binge eating completely, and I swear the reason why I stopped binge eating here was because I was meditating. When you meditate, it lets you, it makes you better at those momentary decisions, like whether you should eat that thing or not. It makes you better at when you are eating something that's bad for you. It lets you kind of put it away. You know how sometimes, like, if you're the type of person who binge eats, you have this uncontrollable hunger when you're eating something, or not even a hunger, but just this locust kind of energy of eating something where you can't stop. And you know some people in your life who they eat the same thing as you, and you see them eat it slowly and they put it aside. And you've always been a bit confused. How do people not finish the entire bag of like sweets or whatever, like when we do? It's with being more mindful. When you're mindful, it's kind of like the sign of being full and satisfied is louder. And my sign originally, like genetically, was very low, so I could eat. And I'd kind of know I was full and sickly, but I would just keep going anyway. But when I would meditate, it became so much clearer that it wasn't even like a discipline thing. It was just like, oh, okay, like I actually don't really want any more now. And so I completely stopped binge eating from that point, which was remarkable for me because I used to binge eat like every week, every 3-4 days. I'd binge eat. I'd eat everything that was in, like, you know, the drawers that your mother buys and there's like little old snacks and shit. I'd eat everything like a fucking like little locust in the fridge, whatever. I'd eat like thousands of extra calories and then feel like shit. And this was the first time that I stopped that because of meditation, because I was exercising more, I was eating more clean foods. And the other habit that I did inside of fitness was consistent sleep. So I heard how important sleep was. And before this point, I was always just a little bit like, whatever, I don't really care. So I would go out late, I would stay up late with girls or partying or drinking or whatever. And sometimes I'd stay up late just playing video games or something ridiculous. But here I got super consistent sleep. I would go to sleep at 9 p.m. every single night, and I would wake up at 6 a.m. every single night, and it served me really well. And then finally, the third area of life that I really added new habits into was work. So I did this business channel. I started to wake up, and after my morning routine, I would sit down and do deep work, basically completely locked in, focused, no notifications on my phone or anything, just focused, scripting the videos, recording the videos. And I would focus for like 1-2 hours at a time. And then I'd have a little break where I'd walk around and I'd come back and I'd do it over and over again. And I built this business, and literally this was in 2020. 4 or 5 years later, it's made me millions of dollars profit. The way that it's made millions of dollars profit is because a lot of people buy my programs. This is one of them behind me, which I'll link below, which basically I put like more videos like this inside of this program, which is for the guys who are serious on self-improvement. So there's like premium education in there, the kind of stuff that like most people are too scared of to teach you on YouTube. And there's the community of guys who are serious on this path, where you can literally see who's in your city, so you can meet other guys who are on self-improvement. You've suddenly just got a gym partner who's like become your best friend. So all of that, top link in the description if you want to see. Now, the final thing to put this together, because I've kind of explained different things to you. I've explained like, yeah, you know, a dopamine detox, I don't do the bad habits. Okay, the 3 areas of life, I did good habits, but it's a little bit vague, right? The thing that put this all together was the military timetable. So imagine this. I went onto my notes page on my phone and I created like a little table on it. And on the left, I wrote down the hours of the day. So 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., all the way to like 9 p.m. And on the right, I assigned something to that hour. This reminded me of the timetable that I used to have in school. So, you know, in school, like when you first start the year, they give you the little timetable thing and it's like, oh, 8 a.m. maths, 9 a.m. science, 10 a.m. sports, whatever. And after you've followed that for like a week or two, you kind of know what to do, right? You almost like automatically, you could blindly just walk to your next class because you build up the habit, right? The routine. So I remembered that time in school and I was like, there's an interesting reason why they use that in schools and why they use it in the military, where 5 a.m. is wake up and 6 a.m. is the PT and whatever. Like, there's a reason why. Is because it makes it easier to be disciplined. Because if you just randomly try to do the disciplined things like work out and meditate and do this, it's very fucking hard, bro. I'm telling you right now, the reason why you've struggled with self-improvement is because it's so hard to randomly do one of the good habits. But if you assign that good habit a certain time of the day and you just try your best to do it at the same time every single day, it becomes easy to do it. It honestly becomes easier to do the habit than to not do it. Like, think about that. Imagine if it became easier for you to meditate than not meditate. That's fucking insane, right? It's easier to sit down and work on your business than not to do it. Because humans are like routine creatures. We very quickly can get into a routine. And when you're in a routine, it's like you save so much energy because you don't need to think about what you're doing at what time. So I created this timetable on my phone and I started plotting in the sort of hours of the day and the habit that I would do at that time. So 6 a.m., wake up and morning routine. 7 a.m., work on the business for 2 hours. 9 a.m., have a break and go walk outside. 9:30, work on the business for 2 hours. 11:30, eat my first meal. 12 o'clock, go exercise. 2:30 p.m., come back, shower, get ready, meditate. 3 p.m., do this one-to-one call with someone or whatever. Imagine every hour of the day was plotted out as if it was the perfect day of discipline. Like, I was expecting it to be perfect. I want you to just go ahead and go create that, or just think about how you would have it in yours. And straight away, people have some limiting beliefs and they say, okay, but like, it's not going to work though. I'm not going to be able to follow this. And to that I say, it's okay, because when we make this timetable, we're assuming that's the perfect day. And we're not going to have the perfect day all the time. But if you follow the timetable as best as you can, you absolutely will have a better day than your usual days. So I found most of the time, just subjectively, I would follow the timetable by about 50% of the day. And later on in the day, maybe I'd slack off a little bit, whatever. And I would get upset by that, thinking, oh man, I didn't even follow it. But then one day I just got the realization where I said, but today was still way better than your usual days. So it's progress, right? You can make progress. 3 months from now, if you just stick to it, you might be at like 80% of the day. You might get some days where it's about 100%. You stuck to the time. So if you're thinking about making the timetable, you're thinking, what if I mess up? It's still better than your usual day. So it's like, this is just your advantage. So just make the timetable and follow it as best as you can. Another question I get is like, what if the day is different? Monday is different to Tuesday, whatever. Then yeah, you can make different timetables for different days. What worked best for me is that I just made one and I followed it as best as I could every day. But of course, this was through COVID. There was no school or work or anything that was different on Monday to Sunday or whatever. So I could just basically live the same day over and over again. If you've got school Monday, Tuesday, whatever, but then you don't on weekends, then maybe you need like 2 different timetables. But what's beautiful about this is like, you're literally just setting the plan, the intention of what to do at what time, so that you don't have to think about it on the day. I'm telling you, this is so true. If you need to think about what to do when it's time to do it, it's so difficult. It's so easy to do some of these self-improvement habits, like, going to the gym or meditating, whatever, when yesterday you already knew it was going to be at this certain time today. I know that sounds weird because you're thinking like, no, but it's not that much of a difference. I can just decide to meditate right now. I'm telling you, it really is. Like, if today you make a timetable that you're going to follow from tomorrow, I guarantee you will have such a more productive day tomorrow than if you just kind of like made it up on the spot of what you should do tomorrow as the day progressed. So if you take one tip from me from this video, because you've watched this far, you've clearly wanted to have a transformation like this, it was this: make the timetable, write it up as best as you can. What's the perfect day? What time would you wake up? What time would you eat? What time would you train? What activity will you do at 7 a.m., then 8 a.m., then whatever? And then the tip I would give you is I would keep that open on my phone as much as possible. So imagine it's like the notes app of my phone. And I would almost act like that was the default app that's just open 24/7. And if I needed to use my phone for something else, like the alarm clock or the calendar, I would move the notes app, go onto the alarm clock, whatever, use it. And then before I'd lock my screen again, I'd open up the notes app, the timetable again. So the next time I unlocked my phone, it was right there in front of me. And the final tip I'll give you is sometimes I'd be sat there and I wasn't too sure what I should do. It was like something was there, the day got kind of messed up, the workout took longer, I can't do this thing right now. And one of the things that I wrote down literally on the timetable, like above it, I wrote, it's better to sit and to think about what to do than to automatically fall into one of the bad dopamine habits. Because sometimes I would think, oh, I can't really do that habit right now. It's 4 p.m., but I can't do that 4 p.m. thing. And straight away my phone, I'd just go on Instagram, I'd just go start jacking off or whatever. But I realized it's better to stare at this timetable than it is to basically do anything else. Because when I'm staring at the timetable, it's kind of a little bit productive, to ingrain it into your mind. But doing anything else these days, like, you know, you go on your phone, you end up going on Instagram, or you go on YouTube, that can take hours out of the day. You just falling into the content hole. So I know this sounds weird, and I wouldn't blame you if you don't believe me, but I would literally look at my timetable hundreds of times a day. Like, I'm talking for multiple hours a day. I'd just be looking at it, because there's times where I felt like I just couldn't do the thing that was, you know, allocated to the current moment. But I just believed that looking at the timetable was healthier and better for me than basically any random thing I could come up with, like just consuming content. So that became kind of like my basic attack, where I just lived by this timetable, and it served me so well. So I just want you to think like you're in the military, and, you know, they give you the timetable. Okay, 5 a.m. wake up, 5:30 make your bed, 6 a.m. PT, 7 a.m. breakfast, this. There's a reason why they do that in the military and in schools. It will undoubtedly make you more productive, and it's one of the best, single best self-improvement actions I've ever taken in my life. Because when I made this military timetable and I sort of plotted in the idea of that dopamine detoxing and the other habits that I spoke to you about, like the mental health, fitness, and work, I plotted them into this timetable, and I basically had this like perfect day dopamine detox timetable, where if I just tried to follow it as best as I possibly could, that would yield a day that was so much more productive than what I was used to. That's how I changed my life so quickly. I have one of the quickest transformations of all time. I literally went from like degenerate fucking video gamer staying up till 3 a.m. jacking off to porn compilations, smoking weed and all this crazy shit, eating fake food 24/7, to literally, I swear to God, the next day I had changed. The next day, like, I moved home, and literally the next day I became like the self-improvement discipline guy, and I rode that wave for fucking years. I've got the physique, I've got the money, I've got the confidence. I've built so much progress in a few years. If there's anyone insecure who was pissed off that I said these things about me, they can get fucked. This is not arrogance or boastfulness. This is just me stating the facts of my achievements, which we all should have the right to do. I've created an incredible transformation, and I swear to you, it was because of these little action steps that I took here. Click and watch this video to continue learning more, and do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah.